been incarcerated for 4 years, and these women are interacting with me. These women who took the stand and supposedly scared of me, or
bitch, I can't go nowhere. I can't go nowhere. This is crazy.
The streets of Atlanta held a dark secret, one that would soon be exposed in a courtroom drama that would shake the very foundations of the hip-hop world. Cashin Out, born John-Michael Hakim Gibson, stood before the judge with a confidence that bordered on arrogance, his head held high as he proclaimed his innocence. But this was no ordinary trial. The stakes were high, and the evidence was mounting against him. For years, whispers of human trafficking and exploitation had surrounded Cashin Out's name, but he had always managed to stay one step ahead of the law. That was until the day he stood in front of Judge's name and unleashed a verbal assault on the entire legal process. The courtroom erupted into chaos as Cashin Out attacked the credibility of the prosecution, the jury, and even the moral authority of the court itself. His words were laced with a venomous intensity, a desperate attempt to deflect attention from the mounting evidence against him. But it was too late. The damage had been done. As we delve deeper into this story, it becomes clear that Cashin Out's downfall was not just about his actions, but also about his refusal to take responsibility for them. He claimed that every woman involved in the case was lying, that they left and came back willingly, that no one was ever forced or coerced. But prosecutors say they have surveillance, wiretaps, and multiple victims who testified to a different story. The evidence against Cashin Out is damning. Prosecutors allege he ran a trafficking ring that spanned multiple counties across Georgia, using his charm and charisma to lure vulnerable women into a dark, manipulative lifestyle. He allegedly controlled a network of women under the guise of dating or escort work, using coercion, manipulation, and control, psychological and financial, to keep them from leaving. One victim testified that she was groomed by Cashin Out at just 17 years old and later forced into sex work, controlled by financial dependence, and intimidated into silence. Another alleged that Cashin Out used his wealth and influence to cover up the abuse, using threats and intimidation to silence those who dared to speak out. The trial files reveal a complex web of lies and manipulation, with evidence of encrypted DMs, hidden messages, and off-the-record whispers becoming crucial pieces in the prosecution's case. The doc quietly unloads one of the most devastating evidence folders in Georgia courtroom history, revealing a playbook of exploitation and profit that Cashin Out was allegedly at the helm of. As the trial unfolds, it becomes clear that this is not just a story about a rapper's downfall, but also about a system that failed to protect its most vulnerable citizens. The hip-hop community is left reeling as Cashin Out's fall from grace is revealed in all its brutal glory. But what happens when a man who once held the spotlight goes down with his mother? The case against Cashin Out and his mother is one of the most disturbing in recent memory, leaving many to wonder how it got this dark. The trial files reveal a chilling disconnect between the two narratives, that of the victims and that of the accused. The courtroom meltdown for the ages is about to unfold, as we take a closer look at the lies that unraveled, the hidden messages, and the devastating evidence that brought down one of hip-hop's brightest stars. The trial files reveal a complex web of deceit, with Cashin Out at the center, refusing to take responsibility for his actions. As the judge delivers the sentence, life in prison, plus 70 years, it becomes clear that this is not just a story about a rapper.
So I really thank you for providing us a fair trial. Just me getting to know you during trial, I was like, you know, she's just the judge. But when you sit 12 people in that panel and you know, have them, you know, judge our lives and, you know, put them in a position to judge our lives, you know, it takes you back to, once again, the Bible, when people had to judge these prophets' lives.
Who lost everything, but also about a system that failed to protect its most vulnerable citizens. The question on everyone's mind is, how could it get this dark? The case against Cashin Out serves as a stark reminder of the darker side of the hip-hop world, where charm and charisma can be used to lure in victims, and where a playbook of exploitation and profit can be hidden behind a facade of success. As we close this chapter on one of the most brutal falls from grace in recent memory, it's clear that the legacy of Cash Out will forever be tainted by the atrocities he was accused of committing. The trial files reveal a chilling disconnect between the two narratives, that of the victims and that of the accused. The evidence against Cash Out is damning, with prosecutors alleging he ran a trafficking ring that spanned multiple counties across Georgia. The doc quietly unloads one of the most devastating evidence folders in Georgia courtroom history, revealing a playbook of exploitation and profit that Cash Out was allegedly at the helm of. As we take a closer look at the lies that unraveled, it becomes clear that this is not just a story about a rapper who lost everything, but also about a system that failed to protect its most vulnerable citizens. The question on everyone's mind is, how could it get this dark? The courtroom meltdown for the ages is over, and the verdict is in. Cash Out will spend the rest of his life behind bars, plus 70 years. But as we reflect on this story, it's clear that the true cost of his actions goes far beyond the prison sentence he received. In the end, the legacy of Cash Out will forever be tainted by the atrocities he was accused of committing. The hip-hop community is left reeling as his fall from grace is revealed in all its brutal glory. As we close this chapter on one of the most disturbing stories in recent memory, it's clear that the truth will always come to light, no matter how hard you try to hide it. The system failed to protect its most vulnerable citizens, and Cash Out paid the ultimate price for his actions. But as we reflect on this story, it's clear that there are still many questions left unanswered about the lies that unraveled, the hidden messages, and the devastating evidence that brought down one of hip-hop's brightest stars. The case against Cash Out serves as a stark reminder of the darker side of the hip-hop world, where charm and charisma can be used to lure in victims, and where a playbook of exploitation and profit can be hidden behind a facade of success. As we close this chapter on one of the most brutal falls from grace in recent memory, it's clear that the legacy of Cash Out will forever be tainted by the atrocities he was accused of committing. The hip-hop community is left to pick up the pieces and wonder how it got so dark. The case against Cash Out serves as a reminder that no one is above the law, not even those who seem invincible from the outside. As we reflect on this story, it's clear that the true cost of his actions goes far beyond the prison sentence he received. In the end, the legacy of Cash Out will forever be marred by the allegations against him. The hip-hop community is left to grapple with the consequences of his actions and wonder how it got so dark. As we close this chapter on one of the most disturbing stories in recent memory, it's clear that the truth will always come to light, no matter how hard you try to hide it. The system failed to protect its most vulnerable citizens, and Cash Out paid the ultimate price for his actions. But as we reflect on this story, it's clear that there are still many questions left unanswered about the lies that unraveled, the hidden messages, and the devastating
Out. Well, good luck on appeal, but shit, they gave you so much time. This is the crazy thing about a sentence.
Evidence that brought down one of hip-hop's brightest stars. The case against Cash Out serves as a stark reminder of the darker side of the hip-hop world. As we close this chapter on one of the most brutal falls from grace in recent memory, it's clear that the legacy of Cash Out will forever be tainted by the atrocities he was accused of committing. As we reflect on the case of Cash Out, it becomes increasingly clear that his legacy will forever be marred by the allegations against him. The hip-hop community is grappling with the consequences of his actions and wondering how it got so dark. In a shocking turn of events, Cash Out was sentenced to life in prison plus 70 years for his involvement in a massive sex trafficking ring. But what exactly led to this downfall? And more importantly, what does this say about the power dynamics at play in the hip-hop world? According to court documents, Cash Out's mother played a direct role in coordinating some of the activities within the ring. She wasn't just complicit, she was convicted alongside her son. But what about the evidence that brought them down? A series of surveillance videos, phone calls from jail, Instagram DMs, and bank statements all pointed to Cash Out as the mastermind behind the operation. His lifestyle, which he flaunted online, became the very thing that would ultimately lead to his downfall. One particularly damaging moment came when a recorded call between Cash Out and one of the alleged victims showed him coaching her on what to say if questioned. The prosecution used this tape to claim witness tampering, further cementing the case against him. But why did Cash Out reject a 25-year plea deal before the trial began? He wanted his day in court, he claimed, but many legal experts believe it was a fatal mistake. The moments leading up to sentencing were nothing short of dramatic. In a courtroom address that left many speechless, Cash Out delivered one of the most unhinged and defiant speeches ever seen. He denied the allegations, claiming spiritual persecution, and even went so far as to suggest that none of the women had accused him until after prosecutors got involved. But the court wasn't buying it. Prosecutors played jailhouse calls where Cash Out allegedly mocked the victims, suggesting they were lying for leverage, and even compared himself to martyrs. This was more than just a defense strategy, it became a psychological profile. Prosecutors described him a master manipulator who wielded control behind closed doors while playing victim in public. Even rapper Turk, who attempted to show support with a reaction video, couldn't fully defend the charges. When asked about the allegations, he hesitated, noting that certain charges were unfortunate and best avoided. It's clear now that Cash Out wasn't just convicted, he was erased from the hip-hop world. Despite the overwhelming evidence, some in the rap community claimed this was a targeted takedown. They argued that the system was waiting for a reason to bury him, and that his image and background played a significant role in the severity of his sentence. But what does this say about the power dynamics at play? According to court documents, Cash Out's mother was responsible for transporting the women, booking locations, and helping collect payments. Phone records revealed dozens of messages between her and other women discussing schedules, earnings, and movements. She wasn't a passive enabler, she was part of the machine. Her 30-year sentence has raised questions among legal experts. Some believe it was a negotiated silence, a plea deal to prevent her from testifying and
the truth will come out. One day, the truth will come out on my situation. One day, the truth will come out on this rape allegation, that these things never happened. And
potentially exposing deeper layers of the ring. But what about the other women involved? Those who never took the stand or had their stories rejected by the prosecution as unnecessary for conviction? A leaked statement from one woman obtained by local advocates claimed she had known Cash Out since 2013 and that he slowly cut her off from family, controlled her finances, and promised music career help in exchange for obedience. Another alleged victim claimed that Cash Out had her tattoo his initials on her body as a loyalty test, a tactic known in psychological coercion circles as branding. These allegations paint a terrifying picture of how deep the grooming allegedly went, and it raises a question. Why weren't they heard? Why were their stories silenced or rejected by the prosecution? Cash Out's case serves as a stark reminder that sex trafficking is not just a personal issue. It's organized, involving multiple locations, rented apartments, and transportation plans. It's a dark pattern in hip-hop, one that has left many wondering if this is more than just a coincidence. Prosecutors are increasingly treating rappers like organized crime figures, watching their lyrics, monitoring their movements, and using RICO laws to target entire crews at once. Cash Out's case was one of the earliest where the RICO framework was used to prosecute alleged sex trafficking instead of drugs or gun charges. If this becomes a precedent, the music industry will never be the same. Critics argue that it sets a dangerous precedent, one where rappers are held legally accountable for the behavior of their crews even without direct involvement. But in Cash Out's case, they had the receipts, texts, video calls, money trails, and more. The girls and women at the center of this case are now ghosts, disappeared from public view. No interviews, no statements, no TikToks, just silence. Some reportedly fled the state. Others are said to be in protective housing. One was even rumored to attempt self-harm shortly after testifying. Turk's warning wasn't just words, it was prophecy. Somebody going to want to see him for that charge, he cautioned. And indeed they did. His reputation is now forever tainted by the allegations against him. In the end, Cash Out's case serves as a stark reminder of the darker side of the hip-hop world. It raises more questions than it answers, What about the other women involved? Why weren't their stories heard? What does this say about power dynamics in the industry? As we close this chapter on one of the most disturbing stories in recent memory, it's clear that there are still many unanswered questions left to explore. But one thing is certain, Cash Out's legacy will forever be marred by the allegations against him, and his case serves as a stark reminder of the power of the truth to bring down even the brightest stars. Cash Out's case has left an indelible mark on the hip-hop world, raising questions about power dynamics, accountability, and the darker side of fame. But it's far from a singular incident. Rather, it's part of a disturbing pattern that's been unfolding for years. Consider this: if Cash Out was a conspiracy, why would so many women from different cities with no known connection come forward with similar stories? Why would multiple video calls obtained from jail show him trying to calm or coach the same women prosecutors say were being trafficked? And what about his own mother accepting a 30-year plea deal rather than fighting the case? These aren't the actions of an innocent man. They're the behaviors of someone who still doesn't believe he did anything wrong. Cash Out's downfall
consecutive with count 22.
Now, there was more to his final sentence, but let's just say he got life in prison plus 70 years. And his cousin met the same fate. As for Mama Cash, she got the least amount.
Isn't isolated. It's part of a broader narrative that spans the rap game over the past decade. R. Kelly, for instance, is serving a 31-year prison sentence at the Federal Correctional Institution in Butner Medium 1, North Carolina, for sex-related crimes including child pornography and sex trafficking. His projected release date is December 21st, 2045, when he'll be 79 years old. The allegations against Kelly are dire. His lawyers have even claimed that prison officials conspired to have him killed by an inmate, specifically a member of the Aryan Brotherhood gang. According to Kelly's legal team, a terminally ill inmate was approached by authorities and offered freedom in exchange for carrying out the hit. However, instead of following through on the plan, the inmate reportedly warned Kelly about the plot. Kelly's lawyers have filed an emergency motion for his immediate release from prison, citing the alleged murder plot and claiming that his life is in danger. They've also requested home detention as a safer alternative. However, a federal judge has denied Kelly's emergency motion, stating that he hasn't demonstrated a legal basis for the court's jurisdiction. The situation took a dramatic turn when Kelly was recently hospitalized after allegedly overdosing on prescription medication given to him by prison staff. His lawyers claimed this was a deliberate attempt to harm him, while authorities say it was routine medical care. Kelly's case has sparked widespread debate, with some fans supporting him and others condemning his actions. While Cash Out was battling trafficking charges, 6ix9ine was embroiled in a federal RICO indictment of his own. Unlike Cash Out, 6ix9ine in flipped. He cooperated with the feds, testified against his own crew, and received a drastically reduced sentence. He served just 2 years and walked out of prison under federal protection. While he may be enjoying relative safety now, he will most likely end up in a ditch if those he snitched on ever get a hold of him. Cash Out never snitched but is still serving life with the knowledge that his mother will most likely spend the rest of her prime in jail. Young Thug and over 28 alleged associates were indicted under Georgia's RICO law, accused of operating a violent street gang under the cover of a record label called YSL. While the crimes differ, one trafficking, the other violence, the legal tools used are the same. RICO, in both cases, art was used as evidence. In both cases, celebrity wasn't a shield, but an accelerant. When you look at these cases side by side, a few terrifying truths emerge. Power plus fame creates the illusion of invincibility, and misogyny, manipulation, and mental control are recurring tools, not accidents. RICO is now a permanent weapon in the state's war on rap, and public reaction is disturbingly inconsistent, influenced more by celebrity than actual crimes. While we take a trip down memory lane, we can't forget about another recent case, Diddy's trial. The trial of Sean Diddy Combs has been one of the most highly publicized cases in recent years, captivating the attention of fans, critics, and media alike. Here's a comprehensive overview from the beginning to the end. Diddy faced 5 charges, including racketeering, conspiracy, sex trafficking, and transportation to engage in prostitution. The indictment alleged that he used manipulation, threats, and coercion to control women and others around him, leveraging his power to fulfill his sexual
Confinement to run consecutive with count 10. On count 10, rape. Life in confinement. Count 12, aggravated sodomy. Life in confinement to run concurrent.
desires and safeguard his reputation. The trial began on May 5, 2025 at the Daniel Patrick Moynihan U.S. Courthouse in New York City. The prosecution presented numerous witnesses, including Diddy's former partner, Cassie Ventura, who accused him of physical and emotional abuse during their decade-long relationship. Other witnesses testified about Diddy's alleged involvement in freak-off parties where women were coerced into sexual activities. Cassie Ventura testified about being pressured into freak-off parties where she was encouraged to sleep with hired male escorts. She described the encounters as increasingly fueled by drugs and coercion. A security guard from a hotel where Diddy was allegedly seen physically assaulting Ventura in 2016 testified about the incident. Other witnesses described Diddy's alleged abuse of power and control over women, including forcing them into prostitution. After 3 days of deliberation, the jury delivered a mixed verdict. Diddy was found guilty of 2 counts of transportation for prostitution, but acquitted of the more serious charges of racketeering, conspiracy, and sex trafficking. The guilty verdicts carry a potential prison sentence of up to 10 years. Diddy's sentencing hearing is expected to be scheduled within the next 2 months. His defense team has vowed to appeal the guilty verdicts, arguing that the prosecution failed to prove intent beyond reasonable doubt. Everyone is waiting desperately to see yet another music world mogul who abused his power getting the punishment he deserves. The outcome of this trial has significant implications for Diddy's legacy and public image as a figure who has influenced trends and culture for decades. The verdict will undoubtedly shape his standing in the entertainment world and beyond. Cash Out is serving life. R. Kelly's empire is destroyed. 6ix9ine is freed but exiled. Young Thug is still fighting, and Diddy will be sentenced in a short time. The pattern continues. A man once cashing out is now cashed out. A family is destroyed. A genre is under surveillance, and a city is haunted. The trial is over, but the damage isn't. The victims, families, culture all bear the scars of this case. The fall of Cash Out isn't just another story about a rapper who got caught. It's about a music industry that enables unchecked power, a legal system that's finally responding, but in ways that blur art and evidence. The culture still can't decide. Who do we protect, the artist or the audience, if Cash Out is guilty? And the evidence suggests he is. Then this case must be remembered not just for what he did, but for how many ignored the signs until it was too late. This wasn't just a man losing his freedom. This was an entire system cracking open, exposing the rot inside. When power goes unchecked, when image outruns accountability, when fame becomes a shield for exploitation, eventually, the truth wins, no matter how long it takes. As the curtain falls on Cash Out's trial, a nation watches with bated breath. What was once a distant tale of a rapper's rise and fall has morphed into a harrowing expose of a system gone awry. The verdict is in. Cash Out will spend his life behind bars, a sentence that echoes throughout the music industry like a warning siren. This isn't just about one man, it's about the empire he built on deceit and manipulation. Kelly's once mighty machine lies shattered, its remnants scattered across the cityscape like shards of broken glass. The streets that once reverberated with his lyrics now whisper tales of his downfall. 6ix9ine, another.
You can't show a flaw. And that's a tough one. It's a tough one for me because I had flaws in my life. So you have to tell the complete truth on that stand. And I got up there and see people put their hand on that Bible and not tell the complete truth. And that's baffling. But at the end of the day, I put my trust in the Most High. I put my trust in the universe to bring out the truth.
high-profile figure entangled in the web finds himself free but exiled, a haunting reminder that freedom comes with a price. Meanwhile, Young Thug remains embroiled in his own legal battles, his future as uncertain as the outcome of Cash Out's case. Diddy, awaiting sentencing, stands at the precipice of a new era, one where the music industry will be forced to confront its darker truths. The pattern continues. A man once riding high is now brought low. Families are torn apart, genres are scrutinized, and cities are left grappling with the aftermath. The trial has concluded, but the real reckoning begins now. As we ponder the fate of these figures, we're compelled to question, what drove them down this path? Was it greed, ambition, or something more sinister? The culture is caught in a maelstrom, struggling to discern between artistic expression and reprehensible behavior. This isn't just about Cash Out. It's about an industry that enabled his ascent, a system where image trumped accountability, and fame became a shield for exploitation. When power goes unchecked, the consequences are catastrophic. Lives are destroyed, families shattered, and communities left to pick up the pieces. As we navigate this complex landscape, we're forced to confront our own complicity. How many of us ignored the signs until it was too late? How many of us turned a blind eye to Cash Out's behavior, dismissing it as just part of the game? This wasn't just about one man losing his freedom. It was an entire system cracking open, exposing the rot within. The verdict serves as a stark reminder that power without accountability is a recipe for disaster. In this era of image-driven culture, where artists are often more concerned with their brand than the impact of their actions, we're forced to ask, what's the cost of fame? When does artistic expression cross the line into exploitation as Cash Out begins his life sentence? The city breathes a collective sigh of relief, but this is far from over. It's just the beginning. The trial may be closed, but its true purpose has only just started to unfold. We're left with more questions than answers. What will become of 6ix9ine? Will Diddy serve his time with dignity or defiance? And what's next for Young Thug? As we gaze upon the ruins of Cash Out's empire, we're met with a haunting truth. This isn't just about one man. It's about an industry that allowed him to thrive. The music world will be forever changed by this verdict. And it's not just the artists who will feel its impact. The rot within is exposed, and now it's time for us to act. We can no longer turn a blind eye or dismiss these events as mere anomalies. It's time to confront the darker truths of our industry, to face the consequences of unchecked power and exploitation. The verdict may be in, but the real reckoning has only just begun. As Cash Out disappears into the shadows of his cell, we're left with a nation in turmoil. But amidst the chaos lies an opportunity for growth. We can choose to learn from this moment, to forge a new path where accountability and artistic expression walk hand in hand. Or we can succumb to the same vices that led Cash Out down his destructive path. The choice is ours, but one thing's certain, nothing will ever be the same again. As Cash Out disappears into the shadows of his cell, we're left with a nation in turmoil. But amidst the chaos lies an opportunity for growth. We can choose to learn from this moment, to forge a new path where accountability and artistic expression walk hand in hand. Or we can succumb to the same vices that led Cash Out down his destructive path.
Servitude, which is sex trafficking. I'm wondering, I want to see the descriptions of those. I didn't really follow this case a lot. This didn't get televised. But I did hear like pretty much all the women like came forward and admitted that they were getting their ass beat or they were, threatened to continue in this sexual, well, they now call it sex trafficking, right? All right. Well, Cash Out, well, good luck on appeal, but shit, they gave you so much time. This is the crazy thing about a sentence. They gave him so much time that if he died 3 times, he's still going to come back and still not leave.
You have no heart. And I know people want me to stay in line or walk a toe, but when you speaking something truthfully and you speaking from the heart and you know that this is not your character, something must be said. And I just wanted to address the court and give my perspective on the things that I felt during this trial and the judgment that I felt that the jurors gave us was not the correct judgment. And it will show. Thank you.
Mr. Matthews?
Your Honor, thank you for allowing Mr. Gibson to speak to this honorable court.